What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. Today's episode of the podcast is our preview of the NFC West for the upcoming NFL season. This is preview 7 of 8, which can only mean one thing, and that is that football season is right around the corner. We're only a couple weeks away. For those of you who missed it, we made our debut on YouTube. The video version of this podcast is now available. So if you guys want to go check that out, really appreciate it. You can enjoy Matt's virtual backgrounds, just like I do every week. Can't wait to see what he has in store for us today. Sure, something fantastic. And just a reminder before we get started, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Now that we are on video, I'm going to put it along the bottom of the video so that you guys can see the email address. Matt and I are giving bold predictions for each division in the NFL as part of our season preview, and we would love to hear yours. Send those to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys listening and watching now on YouTube. Thank you. And really appreciate you guys reaching out to us as well. So hit us up. Always love to hear from you. But for now, let's grab Matt and let's talk about the NFC West. Let's go. All right, Matt is here, ready to talk NFC West. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
I am good. There is a football game that matters this weekend between Kansas State and Iowa State in, I believe, Ireland. It's like number 17 versus number 22, college football to kick off the season. I had a fantasy football draft last night, which is a little early for my taste, but it is done and it went well. So like I am starting to get in like the full swing of like, hey, it's actually football season. I'm going to watch football this weekend. Yeah. I got to worry about Malik Neighbors hurting himself every single day from now until the beginning of the NFL season. Like, it's time. It's football time. That's the best part of football.
I mean, I would argue that the best part of football time is football time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair take. We are previewing the NFC West Division Preview 7 of 8, which means that after this week, we are done. This podcast is dropping on Tuesday, August 19th. And then the AFC West podcast, the final preview, will drop Friday the 22nd. Matt and I will be back next week with the Picks pod, where we're going to make all of our other preseason picks. And then we'll have a couple other fun pods leading up to the beginning of the NFL season. But Matt, it is an NFC podcast, so I will let you lead us off with your biggest narrative for the NFC West.
So I'll just jump right in. My big narrative is, can Sam Darnold actually take another step in his development? Going to Seattle, I actually think this is like truly crucial for them to compete for the division, to be a contender. You know, credit where credit is due after the meltdown that he had at the end of the season. He showed a lot of things over the course of the season that he had not been able to do over any of his previous stops anywhere else playing. You know, he did really well in like under the center play action. He was really effective throwing downfield. And unfortunately, the thing that he struggled with all year long was throwing under pressure. And that came full circle at the end of the year. Had an absolute meltdown. Looked like the Sam Darnold that the rest of us were very familiar with prior to this past season. And so my question is, like, can he find a way to be more comfortable in those scenarios so that he's not truly melting down in these scenarios? Because if he can be competent, he doesn't have to be like Stafford or Burrow or Mahomes or like any of these other guys. If you can just not implode when you're under pressure, that that's going to set up this Seattle team to potentially do some real serious stuff this year.
That's basically what I wrote down for Seattle and win ranges is I really like a lot of the things they have on their roster, especially defensively with year 2 of Mike McDonald as the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam Darnold is such a wild card that it's really hard to know what to expect. It's like, hey, are we at least getting the guy we saw last year in Minnesota for the majority of the year? Or are we getting the guy that he's been for the last 6 years before he went to Minnesota, however long it was? And I kind of see it both ways, where on one hand, when he came into the league, he was developed by the Jets, which we know is, historically just been an awful, awful situation for anybody to go into.
I believe it was the Adam Gase Jets, was it not?
It was the Adam Gase Jets. So,
which
even worse than the regular Jets.
Yes, the worst scenario of the Jets.
Worst possible scenario. And then he goes to Carolina, and it's not much better in Carolina from a development aspect. He has spent the last 2 years getting NFL coaching from Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell, who I know you don't like Shanahan, but still one of the better offensive minds in the NFL.
Yeah.
A lot of the credit from last year with how good Darnold was given to the fact that he spent a year in San Francisco and developed, and we've seen other quarterbacks do this. Like Baker Mayfield spends some time with Sean McVay and then goes to Tampa and is successful. Gino has a renaissance later in his career working with, different offensive coordinators. I think it was Canales in Seattle before Canales went to Tampa Bay. But on the other hand, you are going to a objectively worse situation to be a quarterback in.
Yeah.
And not that I necessarily think Seattle's a bad situation. I just think that the Vikings is the best situation in the entire NFL, where it's like, hey, we have O'Connell, we have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. We have a very good offensive line to now it's a suspect offensive line in Seattle. Although I think there's been some major improvements from last season with our boy Gray Zabel joining the fold. Your weapons are objectively worse I love JSN. He was my guy. He's, high on my list, but he's not Justin Jefferson.
No.
And then it's like Torrey Horton and whatever's left of Cooper Kupp. So it is a big variable, though, because I do agree with you that if Sam Darnold is, like, let's just say good, maybe not even as good as last season, but as long as he's not the Sam Darnold he was before he went to Minnesota, that I think Seattle can contend for this division. But if he implodes, like, how many games is Seattle winning? It's tough to place them.
Yeah, truly an enigma right now.
Yep. My biggest narrative for the NFC West, what is going on with Matt Stafford and the LA Rams? It was a super weird offseason for Matt Stafford. It kind of got swept under the rug at this point, now that we're getting closer to the season. But at one point in the offseason, the LA Rams gave Matt Stafford permission to seek a trade. It was like a weird thing. And it's like, oh, yeah, everybody. The fact that he came back and restructured his contract kind of made everybody sweep this under the rug and say, oh, it's just a negotiating tactic by the Rams. They wanted him to take a pay cut. But now he has missed a lot of practices in the preseason. I was reading a story the other day about how he had to go and get an epidural in his back, which that's never a story you want to read about your quarterback before the season starts.
No.
So, like, looking at the breadcrumbs now, the Rams said they were fully ready to move on from Matt Stafford in the offseason. And everybody's like, oh, it's a negotiating ploy. They don't really want to trade him. They're going to bring him back. But with the back injury, like, did the Rams have some medicals on Stafford that nobody else had? And they were kind of like, were they serious? Were they really like, yeah, we really are just ready to move on from him? Like, if we can get Darnold, if we can get a better, younger option, we'll take it. And they just couldn't get a deal for Stafford done with his contract? Or was it really just negotiating? And they're like, yeah, we got him back on a cheaper deal. We were able to sign Devontae Adams. We have Puka and Devontae and Kyron and all this great stuff, and we're ready to roll again. The other part of it that's kind of weird, though, is like the Cooper Kupp thing. They cut Cooper Kupp, and I think objectively, from a football perspective, it was the right move to get rid of him. But at the same time, he's one of Matt Stafford's best friends and most reliable targets over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And you kind of just don't do that to your franchise quarterback in the NFL. Like, you keep that guy around, or you find a way to like restructure his deal. I don't know, man. I know they made the space and they bring Devontae Adams in, which is going to be an upgrade for them, but it's just weird to me. Now that Matt Stafford is missing practices, I'm kind of looking back on the offseason and being like, ooh, maybe some of that stuff was more real than we thought it was.
Yeah, I think I'd push back a little on the, like, they had medicals, and that's why they wanted to try and trade Stafford, because he'd have to pass a physical in order for the trade to go through, right? The other team's doctors could get those exact same medicals and be like, oh, no. Like, we're not doing this, right? As many issues as I may have to take with Sean McVay, I think the Rams are smart enough to be aware of that kind of dynamic there. But you're right, it is a weird journey that they have been on with Stafford this offseason. And most of it has been swept under the rug. I think what most likely ends up happening is, the week of practice for week 1, Stafford's in the building. He starts week 1, right? Yeah. I don't really think anything else is necessarily going to happen, but that doesn't mean that missing all that time, getting on the same page with your new toy and Devontae Adams may not hurt, So
yeah, he was at practice today. Stafford was. Mm-hmm. But my bigger concern now is not will he start week 1? It is who's starting week 5 and week 8 and week 13, because as a Lions fan, Matt Stafford has a history with that back.
Yep.
And if he is going and getting epidurals in it in the offseason, that is not... Anybody getting an epidural for anything besides having a baby is not a story I want to hear about my football team. And that really caught my eye the other day.
Yeah.
Like, he's not practicing. He's getting epidurals for his back. And I was like, dude, we've just seen it before. He's a tough son of a bitch, but your back can only go so far.
Yeah, no, I fully believe that he will push through as far as he is physically able to, or until those that can take the decision out of his hands take the decision out of his hands. But I also saw him play through half a season with a fracture in his vertebrae. So
well, that's the thing, is like he'll tough it out. I 100% agree with you, but
will he be the guy that they need him to be?
He's 37 now too. And that's the thing, is like, so if he's not 100%, or we see, multiple weeks this season with Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett as the starter for the Rams, that is a massive downgrade from Matt Stafford, who I think we both agree is still a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far that Rams team goes if Matt Stafford misses even 4 weeks with how competitive this division is going to be. And we'll talk about it in win ranges, but this is, I think, the only division in the NFL where I can legitimately make a case for all 4 teams to win it. I don't think the Rams can afford to not have Matt Stafford.
No, definitely not.
So let's talk about all 4 teams and their potential cases to win this division or not in win ranges. What do you have for the Arizona Cardinals?
The Cardinals are kind of a weird team. They've been a little sneaky, but they've steadily been getting like better and better every year. I have them from 7 to 10. They quietly have like one of the best and most creative run games in the NFL, at least last year. I don't expect that part to change this year either. I think they're going to continue to try to build on that. And then if they can just kind of get any sort of improvement on defense, because it's been pretty rough, but they've been adding some talent there. I think this can be a really good team. And the thing that kind of puts a cap on it for me is Kyler Murray.
Can I tell you something surprising about the defense?
Yeah.
In 2023, they were 32nd in defensive DVOA.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, they were 14th. Like they were. The word you used, sneaky, is the perfect word for them because they were sneaky good last season. But I have one question about the Cardinals.
They had some really rough moments on defense last year, too.
They did. And it started slow, but it got better with Gannon. That's kind of, defense is kind of his thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you on the Cardinals before I give you my win range. Are we going to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. this season? Because it was one of the most confusing seasons that we've had in some time, where Marvin Harrison Jr. is like the most hyped up wide receiver prospect to come out of college in a minute. And they draft him, what was it, 4th overall? Yeah. So they spend extremely high draft capital on him. And then like his first game, it's like, okay, here's like 2 targets.
Yeah.
And there was times last season where he looked awesome. There was times last season where it just seemed like he wasn't even part of the game plan. It didn't even go through Kyler Murray's mind that he should think about targeting Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. And there were also times where it looked like he was out of his depth, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't always look very good. So it was all around a perplexing season for the most hyped wide receiver prospect we have seen in quite some time.
Yeah, he's someone I'm keeping an eye on, but I sneaky like a lot of people on this team. I love Kyler Murray. I love me some Kyler Murray.
You just can't quit him.
I love Kyler. I think the potential is so tantalizing.
It's not even that you can't quit him. You just don't want to quit him.
No, I was going to say, I don't even want to quit him. It's like, I don't know, it's like drinking. Like, people are like, you couldn't quit drinking if you tried. I'm like, well, I probably could, but I don't want to. I have no desire to try to quit Kyler Murray. Okay? I love Kyler. But Trey McBride was my guy. I love Trey McBride.
Yep,
Marvin
Trey
Harrison
McBride's
Jr.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison Jr., I still think that there's a lot there. Although, like, last season was not what we would have hoped it would have been for how much hype he had coming out of college.
Yeah.
So we're back in lockstep. My win range is also 7 to 10 on the Arizona Cardinals. Vegas's over-under is 8.5. So I think they're right there with us. But I expect the defense to take another step forward. They did add some people. I wrote down, what if Will Johnson is just the dude we thought he would be like 2 years ago? Instead of last year going into the draft. Like 2 drafts ago, people were like, that dude's going to be the number 1 pick in that draft.
Yeah.
Right, out of Michigan. And then he fell stock dropped. But like,
Yeah.
what if he's good and it was just that like Sharon Moore is not that great of a coach?
Well, with Will Johnson, the big thing was the medical.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I mean, what if he goes out and plays the way that we all kind of thought he could this year? Like, yeah, maybe he does, burn bright and fast, and it's a short career. But like, I think there's a lot of front offices that would take a few years of really high end play from DB as opposed to average play for 8 years. So
yeah, it's the most important question facing all young NFL players this year.
Yeah.
What if he good?
Yeah.
What if he good? We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, and there's, still that guy called Buda Baker.
He good.
He good.
We know he good. He don't have to answer that. He don't have to answer that question. Team 2, the aforementioned LA Rams with pregnant Matt Stafford, apparently getting epidurals.
I have 9-12. I just have a hard time seeing, even with injuries, this team not clawing their way over 500. But I think you and I will both agree that 9 wins is not going to be enough to necessarily win the division or get a wild card. So like that is of the utmost importance there. But just like the talent on that defensive line, the running game, the combination of Puka and Adams, like there's a lot of things to really like about this team.
Yeah. It's funny you said 9-12 because my original number was 9-12. And I think I told you there was a point in this offseason where I was going to pick the Rams to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were going to be my NFC pick. I am so nervous about this Matt Stafford thing that I have downgraded my take to, and I apologize to my dad because I'm back on my bullshit here. 7-11 for the LA Rams. What happens if Jimmy G's the starter for 4 games this season? I don't know if they're winning 9 if that's the case.
Yeah, I imagine that McVay's gonna have a pretty quick trigger if it's going poorly. It feels like they like Stetson Bennett. I don't know.
I like Stetson Bennett, like not as a quarterback, but
yeah, right.
I like him just fine. His story was great at Georgia.
But
I don't know. Just remember a couple of years ago when Stafford was hurt and they brought in what was his name? The backup quarterback. He was so awful. It'll come to me. But I don't want to pick the Rams to make the Super Bowl this season and then be watching Jimmy Garoppolo in week 3 and just be like, I am the dumbest fucking person who has ever lived.
Yeah.
So 7-2.
Completely fair.
Yeah. And then the Alaric Jackson thing, their left tackle. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Mm-hmm. How many games does he play? So I'm nervous with the Rams, although I had Sean McVay as the second best coach in the league in my rankings.
Yeah, I just have them buoyed by the fact that like all the concerns, like this is one of the franchises that has continuously found a way to kind of like cobble things together when everything falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just they've shown me enough that I'm just like, yeah, they probably deserve the Mike Tomlin treatment, except I think that there's a lot more upside.
Yeah, it's fair. I agree though. The upside is obviously, like I said, Super Bowl contender, because there was a
Yeah.
reason I liked them to be there at one point in the first place, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the defensive line. Like Jared Verse and Braden, literally Aaron Donald Fisk, one of my guys. Well, two of our my guys, because you had Jared
Yeah.
Verse last year. The my guys pod just slaps every year. It gets better with age. It's like, oh, who are the my guys? Oh, Jared Verse and Braden, literally Aaron Donald Fisk.
Yeah.
Slaps. But I think they're going to be nasty defensively, and I do think that Devontae Adams is going to be an upgrade from Cooper Kupp for them, just with where Cooper Kupp is in his career right now. I think they'll be able to do some fun stuff with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. But
yeah,
Team 3, one of Matt's favorite teams, favorite head coaches, the San Francisco 49ers. We're not gonna agree on this one. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I'm sure we're not. I have 8 to 10. Barring injuries, like I'm sure they'll be a fine team. I feel like there's a lot of expectation that Christian McCaffrey is just going to return to form. That feels really a lot like wishful thinking. Also, even if he does, he's always been injury prone, and he has taken on a lot of wear and tear, which means he is likely to miss time again. We also are seeing a ton of injury issues at the wide receiver position already coming out of camp for the 49ers. The thought to me that this team is going to spring back to the quality of the team that was a contender going to Super Bowls, it's wild. And yes, like Robert Saleh is coming back to call this defense, and it will be better. But this is the least talented defense that Robert Saleh has ever worked with as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily disagree with anything that you said, but my win range is 9 to 13 for the San Francisco 49ers. Vegas is do you know what Vegas's over under for them is?
Like 10.5?
Yeah, it's 10.5. It's the same as the Lions. It's high. Let me make the case for you, because I think it's something that hasn't been talked about a lot. The schedule is so soft that it is absolutely ludicrous that a team could be given this schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So Warren Sharp does a strength of schedule every year based on, like, a lot of the strength of schedules you see are based on results from last year. And they're nonsensical because what happened last year doesn't really impact this year at all.
Yeah.
Warren Sharp does his based on like Vegas over-under. So he takes the Vegas over-under of every team this year and puts it into this model, and it says, hey, here's your strength of schedule. The 49ers, based on that model, have like one of the softest strength of schedules that we've seen in quite some time. So the last 2 years, 11 of the 14 teams that were predicted to have a winning record, so had a positive over-under, 9 or over, and had one of the top 5 easiest schedules, ended up with a winning record. In 2024, of the 10 teams with the easiest schedules, 7 had winning records and 6 made the playoffs. 2024, the actual strength of schedule for the 49ers was 28th. So they're in this model, they're going from having the 28th ranked strength of schedule to the easiest strength of schedule, which is number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah.
And I know Ayuk's hurt. We don't know when Ayuk is coming back, but I'm not that nervous about that because I just think Ricky Pearsall is going to be a beast. I think that him getting shot at the beginning of last season and then finishing the year with that game where he had like 10 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns is just kind of like a sign of things to come with him. And that kind of threw everybody off of the scent for how good this dude's actually going to be as a pro and in the 49ers system. So,
yeah, I
don't like, do you think Ayuk is that good though? Where we have to worry about Ayuk being out? Like they can't scheme up stuff for the other guys that are on this roster?
I would say Ayuk being out is more of a concern for me because that's really, other than maybe Pearsall, like that's really the only noteworthy wide receiver, right? Like you still have Kittle.
Juwan Jennings is still there too. I like
Juwan Jennings. But you're not game planning for Juwan Jennings, right? Like,
Yeah. But I think like in this scheme, if Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey are healthy, which I know is a big if.
It's a massive if. That's where I was going to head next.
Yeah, it's a big if. But if those guys can be healthy, you can scheme up stuff for the wide receivers. Like,
yes.
Especially with George Kittle out there.
Part of where I've tempered this too is that they have not been healthy. And when those guys are not healthy, this team is bad. Like, full stop. They're just bad when those guys don't play. For, quite frankly, one reason and one reason only, John Lynch has repeatedly, over the last several years, whiffed in the draft over and over again. Like, he'll get a guy here or there, but, like, they are not filling out their roster with contributors to the draft.
I still like Ricky Pearsall. I love you, Ricky.
I mean, it remains to be seen what's going to happen for Ricky. Obviously, he lost a lot of time because of that. I don't think that's a bad bet, but like, one Ricky Pearsall does not a good team make.
Yeah. Let's talk about the last team, a team that, in my opinion, has been nailing the draft for the last couple of years, especially this past one. The Seattle Sea Chickens.
Yeah, team we lit off the podcast with. I have 8-12, which is, I know it's a big range, but that is the dichotomy of one Sam Darnold.
That's fair.
If Sam remained a pumpkin, I still think there is enough talent on this team for them to somehow find a way to get to a mediocre win total. If he can play average NFL quarterback play, like 15 to 16 in QB rankings, like if he can hit that mark, like I think the potential of this defense, with the playmaking of JSN, hopefully they can get a year where these running backs stay healthy and they get their running game going again. But like, I think really there's just so like that. The upside for this defense is so high that like the offense can be average and they can still be a contender.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like where they're going defensively with Mike McDonald in year 2. So we're now looking at Tariq Woolen, Devon Weatherspoon, and Nick Eamon-Wari, who was my number one my guy.
Yeah.
As a potential new Legion of Boom in Seattle. Like they're recreating it in front of our eyes and people are not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I think one thing that hasn't been talked about with them is that they absolutely smashed the draft.
Yeah.
they had one of my favorite drafts by far. Gray Zabel, who we both loved.
Yep.
Nicky Minwari, who I had as a top 10 player in this draft. Torrey Horton, who they're going to need someone to step up behind JSN.
Yeah.
Like, you have Cooper Kupp, who's like the wily vet, but as we talked about earlier, he's kind of cooked athletically. Torrey Horton's a rookie, but I've heard really good things about him in camp, which, grain of salt, because it's camp, it's preseason, and of course, every single team is like, we love our rookies that we just drafted, a couple months ago. But I hear some good things about Torrey Horton. I liked Elijah Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami. They're going to have two motherfuckers in the middle of that defense.
Yeah.
The interior of that defensive line is going to be extremely difficult. Like, I think that defense is going to be really, really good.
Yep.
This season.
Yeah, they added DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, good luck running in that direction. I know he's not the pass rusher he used to be, but the run game's going to be completely shut down in his direction.
Lawrence, and then the kid from, I think it was Texas that they drafted last season, who I really liked, who got hurt. I had picked him to win Defensive Rookie of the Year before he got hurt last year. But I really like what they're building defensively. I like that it's year 2 of this scheme for a lot of these guys, and they can learn more. Clint Kubiak comes in on offense as the OC, where he's installing this zone running scheme, which is like really playing to Kenneth Walker's strengths. So, yeah, it all comes down to Sam Darnold, and it's just such a risk to bet on a team led by Sam Darnold, because if he does turn back into a pumpkin, it's like, it's going to be a rough time. Like, they let Geno go. They bring in Sam Darnold, and it's like, yeah, there's more upside than there is with Geno right now. But I would also say there's more downside. Like, I think Geno probably has a higher floor as a quarterback at this point than Sam Darnold does.
Yeah, well, and it hasn't been talked about enough. The fact that Geno survived last season is a goddamn miracle, because I would argue that the Seahawks might have the strongest claim to the worst offensive line in the NFL last year, because he was under pressure immediately, like almost constantly. It was really bad.
If my team and the Houston Texans didn't exist, I would give it to you. But I've seen worse with my own eyes. But that's what I'm saying though. Like, adding Gray Zabel, they're like, oh, Gray Zabel, rave reviews in camp. Like, again, it's camp, but knew that would happen. Yeah. Also, before we go to bold predictions, talking about installing the zone running scheme with Kubiak and putting Gray Zabel in the zone running scheme, he's going to be really good. Yeah. He's going to be really, really good for them. What is your bold prediction for the NFC West?
I think that going to LA is going to be really good for Devontae Adams. He's had a rough couple years. And despite his age, I think he is going to return to form and have his first 1,000-yard touchdown season in, I think it's been 4 years now?
Yeah, but also by far the best quarterback he's played with in that time.
And I think that could be the case even if Stafford misses several games. Just because of the amount of attention that Puka demands at this point. Even if Devonta has lost a step, I don't know that I've watched a receiver, maybe other than Jefferson, that is just that good at getting off the line of scrimmage. it doesn't matter how good you are in press. Like, he's got a package.
Underrated storyline for the LA Rams this season. Davante Adams was absolutely miserable catching the ball from Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, yes.
With the Raiders. So if Matt Stafford does miss time, then oof, we're right back there for him. My bold prediction for the NFC West, also going to go with a wide receiver, but I'm going to go with my boy Ricky Pearsall. I think Ricky's going to have 80 catches and over 1,000 yards. Only 17 guys did that last season. 80 catches, 1,000 yards. So I like him. I think there's going to be a ton of opportunity in this offense and in this scheme, and I think he's going to put up some numbers. Who do you have winning the NFC West? This I think is one of the hardest questions we have to answer on the podcast this year.
Yeah. I wrote something down. I just don't know if I want to pull the trigger on it.
Funny enough, I think we're actually thinking the same thing.
I'm going to go Seattle.
I pick Seattle too. I also pick Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're writing this together again this year, because I think, wasn't this the pick that you talked me into like last year, the year before?
Yeah.
Where you're like, hey, I talked you into the Falcons and you talked me into the Seahawks, and it was awful for both of us. So I'm glad that we're on the same page this year.
Yeah. I just think that, especially with Witherspoon playing in the nickel, I think that defense has so much potential to be so dangerous. Like, allowing him to play closer to the ball and not just be like isolated out on the boundary. Like, there's gonna be a lot of ball production. Like, he might not necessarily like pick everything off, but like he's gonna set up a lot for other people.
Yeah. I just like where the defense is going with Mike McDonald. I think they can be really good this season. And important question about Sam Darnold. What if he good? What if he good?
We can't ignore the way he played at the end of last year. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I can ignore that. And, like, yeah, sure, like, Kevin O'Connell put him in a position and helped him do what he did last year, but, like, he was also the one who went out there on the field and did it. He is capable of doing it.
I just think there's so much up in the air in this division for all of these teams where I'm like, God, it's like Matt Stafford's health. It's like, can the 49ers stay healthy?
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I don't know. Like, Kyler Murray I love him, but he's a roller coaster. Yeah. I'm just going to go with the thing I feel best about, and the unit that I feel best about in this division is Seattle's defense, strangely. So I'm glad we're on the same page.
It's weird that, like, I feel like the team that I feel most stable about is the Cardinals.
I guess you kind of know what they're going to be the most.
Yeah, there's some, like, with them, but mostly it's like, yeah, I know you're not going to be, like, a 14-win team, but I also know you got enough there that you're not going to be a disaster.
Cardinals 14-win season, Kyler Murray MVP incoming. But for now, that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and now the video version can be found on YouTube. So thank you for all of you who went and checked that out last week. If you haven't seen it yet, you can come and join us on YouTube and see our smiling faces during the podcast. I didn't know what to say there. Matt and I will be back on Friday, the 22nd, with our preview of the AFC West for the upcoming NFL season. But for now, buddy, I will see you later.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Mom.